From Punk Hazard to Dressrosa to Zoe, to skipping Whole Cake Island and right straight to Wano. Law, it's been fun, but I think you're done. Hi, I'm Vagabond Kana. This is the review for One Piece Chapter 1063, Egghead's Research Stratum. Another solid chapter we got this week. So we actually start off with some action at first. We get right back to Law versus Blackbeard. Law and his crew versus Blackbeard. And I'm actually really surprised at this because I honestly really completely expected 100% for Oda to skip this fight. Maybe he'll skip later on to the results after this fight because the fight isn't completed in this chapter yet. But I'm actually surprised that Oda actually showed us more. But in this fight, you see Law really, get down. And actually, the crazy thing about it, his crew is fighting too. I did not expect that to happen at all. This man's crew is actually, so Law actually gives them orders to say, hey, you go over here and make sure you come from below their ship over there. And his crew is actually really good at sea. It's funny because, we're getting a legitimate pirate battle. Not on land, at sea. I mean, Law and Blackbeard are doing the on land fighting. But the at sea portion, Law's crew is doing really good. And they're like, hey, look, we're good at sea. You picked the wrong crew to fight against at sea. It's funny because you can tell Oda just seen everybody just talk smack about Law's crew. Just say, oh, they're useless, they're complete trash, this, that, and the other, yada, yada. And I do the same thing, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I thought most people, I'm pretty sure 90 plus, probably 95, probably 98% plus of the fandom thought that Law's crew was trash. And it's like, look, what do you expect us to think? You didn't have them do anything for the entirety of their existence until today. So it's like, hey, Law's crew is actually kind of dope at sea. At specifically sea. And they kept in mind that all they really had to do was sink the ship and then you guys are pretty much done because Blackbeard's crew is just consists of all Devil Fruit users. And this is actually an observation that Law makes. He's like, you've got all Devil Fruit users, okay. And basically, he's like, okay, your weakness is water, all right. But Blackbeard was like, it's worth it. And I think this is the contrast between Blackbeard and Shanks, because there's a clear contrast here. Because you look at Blackbeard's crew, they got all Devil Fruits, right? They try to specialize in specifically Devil Fruits. Whereas Shanks' crew, they don't have any Devil Fruits. They mainly just focus in on Haki. And that's actually, I just like that parallel. I just like that parallel there. It's a very cool, very neat parallel. And I think that's going to lead to something eventually one day. But yeah, Law's crew really stood their ground here. And of course, Law immediately, Law actually catches Blackbeard off guard a good few times. Because he slices Stronger, the horse, the Pegasus horse. He slices Stronger by using his awakening. He uses R-Room. I believe it was R-Room that he used. Yeah, he used R-Room for that. And then Blackbeard's like, what the heck? I didn't know his Devil Fruit could do this. Did he awaken it or something? And I tell you, it's actually kind of interesting to see Law really, and he actually gets Blackbeard on top of that, which is the crazy part. He pulls off a Shock Willy, and Shock Willies are no joke. I said in my last chapter review that Shock Willies are they do too much damage. Too much internal damage. But Law gets one off, and then Van Augur, he's like, should we retreat? Should we retreat? And then Blackbeard's like, no, I'm Blackbeard. I'm not retreating for nothing. So he squares off against Law, and they actually end up clashing. And if you notice throughout this fight, Blackbeard mainly just uses, for the entirety of this fight, he mainly just uses his Quake attack. So he's on the offensive all the time. He's always doing offensive attacks. He didn't use his Yami Yami no Mi, which is really good for debuffing, right? And so all of a sudden, after they clash, Blackbeard just says, Black Vortex. And the scene just cuts away, and I'm just like, oh, Law screwed. Law is so screwed. Because let me tell you something, the many freaking times this man Blackbeard is just straight up getting clapped by somebody, but then he just comes right back. like Ace is a perfect example. I mean, he didn't necessarily get clapped by Ace. It was really more kind of even at first. They were hitting each other, they were damaging each other. But at the end of the day, Blackbeard, he looks kind of goofy at first, but he comes out the winner. He really gets those dubs, man. So, like I said, Ace. There's also, you could say Whitebeard. There's Luffy. You know, like Luffy, he got a good hit on him, and then Blackbeard clapped back and just messed Luffy up. And then after that, it's just, you know, I feel like I'm missing somebody, but you get the point. Blackbeard always comes back and takes the dub. He always comes back and takes the dub, and it's just, in this case here, I see the exact same thing happening. Especially how all of a sudden Oda just ended off, like Law had a shocked face. He was like, wait, what is Blackbeard doing? And then he just uses Black Vortex, and then we just cut away. And I'm like, yep, Law is done. He's done. I don't think he, like I said before, I don't think Law is going to die in a fight to Blackbeard. I think Law is gonna die using the Eternal Surgery thing that the Opi no Mi can do. That's what I personally think. But anyways, this is a very interesting fight. One of the other thing that I like to mention is that the cover page story also shows Pudding getting captured. Last chapter it showed Pudding getting captured, and then this chapter it showed Pudding captured again, but Aokiji was there, right? Aokiji and Van Augur. And then in the actual chapter, it actually shows Pudding in one of the cells on Blackbeard's ship, and I'm just like, okay, that's very different, because we don't really see cover page stories going at the same time. We just don't see cover page stories coinciding like this. It's just, we don't really see it happen with the chapter like this very often. Actually, this is the first time ever, if I'm not mistaken. But that's just a little fun side note. So anyways, we cut back to Luffy, Bonnie, and co. And we see that the Pacifista has stopped chasing them, and that's because Bonnie changed their age, their ages. So they show Jinbei as a child. They show Chopper as an old reindeer. He looks like a tired old puppy. And Luffy as an old man. And so, okay, here's the interesting thing about it. You remember the SBS where it showed the old ages of Straw Hats and they showed the good and bad future? For this, Bonnie aged Luffy to age 70. And it shows the bad future of Luffy. This is bad future old Luffy, which I find absolutely hilarious. But, I mean, of course, I don't think that's foreshadowing anything. I don't think Oda's just gonna be like, psych, he doesn't find the One Piece, he fails, everyone dies in the end, screw you. I don't think Oda's gonna do that. That would be freaking hilarious. I don't care what anyone says, but it would be a big old middle finger. I don't know if I like it, but I would definitely get a kick out of it. Oh my god. But anyways, they're sitting there talking. Luffy's like, hey, you know, you gotta at least let us beat the crap out of Pacifista. I know this looks like your dad, but it just looks like your dad. Not actually your dad, so we should be allowed to beat the crap out of it. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, the guy's trying to talk him out of it and stuff. But anyways, Jinbei goes on to mention, it's just so cool seeing Kid Jinbei. But anyways, Jinbei goes on to mention that, hey, Kuma is... He was called the tyrannical king of Sorbet Kingdom, right? We heard that he used to do all types of diabolical things and stuff. And, you know, Bonnie, she picks up a lightsaber. It's called, or as I like to call it, a beam katana, because I'm a fan of No More Heroes. But they call it a beam saber, so they kind of mesh the two together. Beam katana, lightsaber, beam saber. Welcome to One Piece. And she picks up a beam katana and just slashes something in anger, right? And it does a lot of damage to the area, it seems like. But I have to say this: considering that we have beam sabers, beam katanas, lightsabers, whatever you want to call them, considering that we have them, please, Oda, for the love of God, please make my dreams come true. I'm telling you, let Zoro wield a beam katana, please, a beam saber. Please let Zoro wield a beam saber. Please, Oda, please. I want to see Zoro have one saber in one hand, another saber in the other hand, and then one saber in his mouth. I want him to go straight Star Wars with this. It's like, let's see Luke do this, boy. Oh my god, that would be the sexiest thing ever. this arc, I like this arc from the concept alone. And the things that are going on in it, it depends on how it's executed, but this is super fun so far. I'm feeling hype. I'm feeling too hype. It's always nice to get into a new island and stuff, but it's just, God, we have beam katanas. I have the No More Heroes theme playing in the back of my mind right now. Oh my God. Oh. But anyways, I gotta move on. I can't stick on this too long. So anyways, they turn her back to normal, and then she's just like, look, they basically killed my dad by turning him into a lifeless cyborg. And I don't like that. And also they mentioned something about Kuma being a part of a special race. She mentions this actually. She said, my dad always used to say he was part of a very special race. So it's like, okay, then that would make, assuming that Kuma is Bonnie's biological father, that would make Bonnie a part of that special race, if I'm not mistaken, right? Now, maybe Kuma adopted her. Maybe. But maybe it's possible that Bonnie is a part of that special race. I don't know what this race is. Some people will probably theorize Lunarian. That would probably be the easiest thing to go to, but I don't know if there's another race or anything, but it might be Lunarian. It might just be. It's because it's when we see him in cyborg form, he doesn't have his wings, right? So it's just like, did they clip him? I mean, they are possible to clip. Just look at King, right? Zoro clipped to one of his wings, right? So I mean, it's possible, but I honestly don't know. So that's something very interesting that we're gonna get into some point later down the series, later down this arc. I mean, so yes. But anyways, then that scene cuts from them, and we go back to Zoro and the rest of the Straw Hats, really. And as you can see, they skipped the scene where Zoro asked for certain stuff, for a favor. And I don't know what Zoro asked for, but that was skipped, and all of a sudden we just see the giant robot that Lilith, that's her name, Lilith. We see the robot that Lilith was driving, actually carrying the Sunny all the way up, and we actually see a good glimpse of Egghead Island. And so she gives him kind of a little tour, honestly. It's like, okay, at the bottom where your captain is and is making trouble, that is what we call the fabrication stratum. But where we're going up in the sky is the research stratum. And it's kind of interesting because at the bottom, where the fabrication stratum is, there's like a city, right? But at the top, it's really just like Skypiea. It is just like Skypiea. That's because it's, floating on clouds. They recreated the clouds from the Sky Islands. And on top of that, though, it looks like a tropical place. It's honestly because the research stratum is surrounded by a bunch of trees and cacti and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, up top you find a lot more life rather than you would on bottom. Very interesting thing going on here. I'm looking forward to seeing the lore of Egghead Island. I really am. But overall, this scene is also funny because they're like, oh, this is just like Sky Island. This is just like Skypiea. And then Frankie's like, really? This is my first time. What the heck is this? It's kind of cool to see that. But all the Straw Hats get off except for Zoro and Brook. They decide to stay on. And because Zoro doesn't trust them, and Brook's just, he's just being a bro and helping out and stuff like that. So they're going to stay behind. It makes me curious as to what's going to go on with them. Maybe we won't get that much screen time with them for the time being. Maybe something else will happen. You never know. But they start, and then this is when the Straw Hats get their new clothes. And I kid you not, I'm going to be real with you. Usopp is rocking that outfit. I'm sorry. It looks like honestly, Usopp looks like he was born to wear something like this. He just looks right in that outfit. He looks perfect. And of course, Frankie, he fits into this mold as well, but just Usopp though. Sanji, he gets like he gets a Hawaiian shirt. he gets the Jinbei treatment. He just gets the Hawaiian shirt. So Sanji gets screwed because Oda just likes to screw Sanji. But, I mean, hey, what can you do? And then Nami, she looks like she gets some gear. Her boobs are actually covered up this time, which I guess her boobs were covered up in Wano as well. Were they? No, they weren't. They weren't covered up. Never mind. So yes, but Robin, she's showing the cleavage, so that's good. That's always a good thing to have that. Robin, all the outfits look great. I enjoy the style, the art style of this area. I enjoy it a lot. So that's a pretty cool thing. But we end off the chapter with Vegapunk talking to someone. And he says, "I think I'll be dead soon." And the person he's talking to says, "Don't kid about something like that. Don't joke about something like that." And then Vegapunk just says, "I just wanted to let you know about this, Dragon." So he's talking to Dragon. So it's like, okay, you got to question, how are these two connected, correct? It seems like they may be friends. Like, by the way they're talking, it seems very friendly. So it's like, okay, maybe that would explain what's going on with Kuma, correct? It would make a lot of sense. It honestly would. So him and Vegapunk, they are in cahoots with one another, while Vegapunk is also in cahoots with the world government. Maybe that's why the world government wants to kill him. Maybe that's why. That would make a lot of sense, actually. It's like, oh, you're working with the one that's directly against us, that we hate the most, the one that we gave the largest freaking bounty. You're working with this guy? Okay, we're gonna kill you. We're gonna kill the most important man ever in the world. So that is the chapter. But yeah, I gotta tell you. So it's gotta be rough for Vegapunk, because he's in between a rock and a hard place. At least that's how I'm viewing it. He's helping Dragon, but also helping the world government. So that's a funny thing. That's a really funny thing. Maybe that's why Lilith is being so nice to the Straw Hats, because they're really supposed to be enemies. But Lilith is supposed to be like the evil side of Vegapunk's mind, correct? So maybe that's why she was acting like such a jerk in the beginning. But anyways, I enjoy this chapter. I like where this is going. A lot of things being revealed. And do you guys think Aokiji is the 10th Titanic captain? Because I don't think so. I personally think Aokiji is kind of like an extra, and he might betray Blackbeard. I personally think he will betray Blackbeard, but I find it funny because in extra stuff and the SBS and all that, they count everybody as a 10th Titanic as a Titanic captain, but they don't show Aokiji. Why? Why don't they show Aokiji? They show the 9 captains, but they don't show Aokiji, and we know Aokiji is part of it, but they just decided not to show him. It's like, we already know he's part of the crew. Why not just show him? He's pretty much probably stronger than everybody else on the crew anyways. Oh, so it's just like, I don't know. I don't think he's really the 10th. I think there's something else going on with him. I do think he will betray him. But anyways, that is the chapter. We're going to get into these Reddit comments real quick. And we're also going to have our Carrot Opium session, a new thing. Well, it's not really new. I've already done it before. But I decided we're going to do this thing where we talk about Carrot pretty much every review chapter. We try to find a post or a comment or something, and we talk about Carrot. Because, it seems like you guys really like it when I talk about Carrot, so we'll do that. Why not? Jinbei be like, "Hey, I heard your dad is a bit of a..." That actually was how he's like, yeah. He's just like, "Hey, I heard your dad was kind of a douchebag, kind of a douche nozzle. He killed people and stuff. Yeah, man, maybe he deserved it, huh? Screw your dad, Bonnie." I'm glad he got his cheeks clapped by Vegapunk. Oh, Lord. Give me strength. Zero chill from Jinbei this week. Don't blame him. Vegapunk called him fat last chapter. Dude, come on. Vegapunk be like, "You guys are fat as hell." And then Jinbei just takes his anger out on everybody else. This guy says, "Is this the first time that a cover story has immediately turned into the main story? I'm glad to finally learn who was on Tataland, but I don't think it's ever had that short of a turnaround." This other guy says, "Yeah, this is a first. Pretty cool stuff. We may be seeing this more as we head to the end game. What with so much happening." Yeah, it kind of makes sense now because we are heading into the end game, and so we do need to really put focus on a lot of these things that are going on, because it's narrowing down. We need to start answering questions. Things need to be completed. So for something like this, the pudding stuff to get focused within a main chapter, a main story chapter, it's needed. It's needed because everything's coming together. At least it should. It should come together. But yeah, so I like what Oda did here. That's the first time ever, honestly. One thing I forgot to mention is that Pudding, when she was captured, she said, "Mama's gonna make you eat those words if she's still alive." So there's still questions lingering, at least in this dialogue, if she's still alive or not. Personally, because this is One Piece, I don't think she's gonna die. I think the only person who's gonna legitimately die at some point is Law. But and I'm just gung-ho on that one, I'm sorry. But I honestly do think that I think that it's possible that Big Mom is gonna live, because I was hoping that she would last until Elbaf. There's so much to her character. I just wanted her to last until Elbaf so we can get some more closure to a lot of things that she's been through. She's a very interesting character. I've always thought Big Mom was honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, she was, and quite possibly may be, my favorite Yonko so far, to be honest with you. And yes, more than Shanks, because we don't really have that much on Shanks. That's why I'm looking forward to the movie. But because we don't have anything much on him. I would like to like Shanks, I just need to get to know Shanks a whole lot better. That's all, really. But yeah, Big Mom, I just like, I hope she's alive. I hope she's alive. But anyways, that's just a little side note. Anyways, let's get on to our Carrot Opium session. You can call it copium, you can call it hopium, but we're gonna talk about Carrot real quick. This one guy said, Carrot's treatment, but actually. It reads, "So, I've seen a lot of posts about Carrot being treated bad by Oda at the end of Wano, including a currently front page post, which I think is frankly really insane. Let's get this straight. She was never, not even a little bit, close to becoming a Straw Hat. She was never an important character. Her role was never any bigger than any of the other characters that tagged along with the crew for an arc. Most importantly, of course, Luffy never actually cared for her. But he called her by name." Yeah, okay, he called her by name in like one of the 2 sentences he ever spoke to her. How the hell did Carrot fans think that this was a reasonable argument? Obviously, she did literally nothing in Wano, except lose off screen, and people still thought she had a chance to join. The only thing I will agree with Carrot fans on is that her becoming ruler of Zou was weird. But do you know why I think it happened? I think Oda was genuinely so shocked by her popularity that he wanted to give her something to satisfy her fans. But no, you weren't satisfied because you actually deluded yourself into believing that she was entitled to joining the Straw Hats, and unironically believe that Oda changed his mind about that. She got treated unfairly. Ha! What? She got more than she deserved. Okay, so screw this guy's opinion. It's wrong. I don't care what anyone says. So let's dissect this a little bit here, eh? Okay, so let's talk about this Luffy never actually cared for her part. Yes, I, as well as many other people, do mention the fact that he called her by name. That actually does mean something, because Luffy rarely calls anybody by their name. When he calls someone by their name, that usually means that, okay, I've grown a closer bond to you, because that's more so akin to his character. That's why he calls his crewmates by name. That's really more so of a thing. But they have had other moments other than just those 2 times that he called her by names. There were more instances. There were things in Zou, things in Whole Cake Island. Remember the time where Luffy entrusted Carrot to actually guard the Sunny? That is a thing that happened. But I will admit, and I'll be the first to admit, that yes, Carrot could have used more time with Luffy. I think that could have definitely happened. It would have been nice. She is lacking a little bit in that department, but I'm not going to sit here and say Luffy never cared about her. Heck, Luffy mentioned her mentor when he went Gear 5th a second time in order to fight Kaido. He mentioned Kinemon, Momonosuke, and I think he also mentioned Tama, and then he mentioned Pedro. And who carries the will of Pedro? Carrot. So let's not sit here and pretend like she doesn't matter just because you feel some kind of way. Now, moving on with that one, I'm glad you agree that her becoming ruler of Zou was weird. But you mentioned that Oda had only made her ruler because of the popularity poll. That, my good sir, is what we call bad writing. As you can see, there was no actual development for that. There's no common sense in that, and that doesn't make any sense for anyone to do said writing in such a fashion. Okay? So there is a problem with that alone. Now, if Oda really did do that, which I don't think he actually did. I think he's a better writer than that. But your logic is vastly flawed when it comes to this. And this Joker says, you actually deluded yourselves into thinking she was entitled to joining the Straw Hats and unironically believe that Oda changed his mind about that. I never said I believe he changed his mind. There are people like me that doesn't think he changed his mind. I think he's still on the same course. I didn't stop. Who are you talking to? And it's like, it's crazy because a lot of people went around and say, oh man, Oda changed his mind on Carrot, replaced her with Yamato. It's like, oh, well, I guess Oda changed his mind about Yamato. It's like, I don't think Oda really changed his mind at all. I think y'all just don't know what you're talking about, but I think y'all just don't know what you're talking about. Let's keep it real. So saying, oh, he changed his mind here, he changed his mind there. I don't think he changed his mind at all. I think what actually happened was that he was always planning for Yamato to stay, and I think he's still planning for Carrot to join. That's what I think. I don't think minds have been changed. I just think you just don't really want to look at anything else in any other way. But to sit here and say she got treated unfairly, what? She got more than what she deserved. Like, okay, look. That's a stupid comment. That's a stupid comment. It's just so stupid. Like, what? It's like, look. I think the side characters in One Piece do deserve some sort of justice. I felt the same way about Ashura Doji and Izo when they died, and they didn't get much of a scene that was as impactful as Kinemon's, right? Or at least close to that. Like, I didn't even know these Jokers were dead until the end of the arc, and I was like, oh, they died? Oh man, that's messed up. I didn't like that. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh well, they were unimportant, screw them. It's like, I actually care about decent writing, unlike some of these Jokers. It's like good grief, have some form of like consciousness when it comes to that, for at least. But you know, people it's all about what people care about. It's like, oh, I just care about this character, but I don't care about that character, and they'll sit there and trash the character they don't care about, but they don't give a crap about the writing. You are this person here. You are the last person in the universe who should be talking about what should and what should not happen and what is proper. Because you clearly can't even think even halfway decently about what makes sense for a story. So the last thing this guy should do is talk. But thank goodness, in the comment section, it's really just people roasting him. Because no one really agrees with his extra. I mean, to a degree, some small people believe it, but for the most part, most people are just sitting here like, okay, you're doing the most. That doesn't make any sense. She at least deserved a goodbye. We've been with her for like 7 years. At least a goodbye, you know, stuff like that. But he, of course, is gonna fight against it. But I'm glad already in the comment section there are some people that have some form of common sense. I mean, this guy is getting his cheeks clapped harder than Jada Pinkett Smith when she breathes. But I'm glad that in the comment section, those people also realize that she at least deserved a goodbye, and there is something wrong with the stuff going on with Carrot. You have many people, like, no one's asking what Momonosuke's doing, where Momonosuke's at, where Hiyori's at. No one's asking where Yamato's at. People are asking where Carrot's at. You know why? Because there is something incompleted about what's going on with Carrot. No one's gonna sit here and pretend like that wasn't weird, right? But I can guarantee you, as I always have, that Carrot will be the one joining very, very, well, I don't know how soon. I shouldn't say very soon. I learned one thing about myself is that I'm bad with timing. But she's gonna join at some point. But that is it for the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, share the video if you like. And with all that being said, Vagabond gone.